everybody. Welcome back to the Meybohm Perspective. I'm your host, John Cates, and with me today I got Justin Bolin from VanderMorgan Realty. Justin, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Good.
It's a little unique, Meybohm, VanderMorgan.
I know.
Kind of coming together to collab on this. It's pretty awesome.
That's right. I think you're the first person that we've had from a different real estate company.
Really?
So congratulations.
First one in.
That's right.
Last one out.
That's exactly right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. Well, Justin, I know a lot of people know you, and especially a lot of our agents and hopefully a lot of the people who are listening to the podcast. But maybe give us a little bit of sense of who VanderMorgan is, who you are,
Sure.
sort of how you got started in the business, and how you sort of started your company.
Well, John, I kind of fell into real estate. I think my life changed and kind of came full circle. I was skipping school my senior year. I was a lifeguard water safety instructor for Augusta Richmond County.
Okay.
And I bought a jet ski. So I was making good money. So I was living like a rock star.
Yeah.
Had a Camaro. I'd hook up the jet ski to it, and we'd go skip school and
There you
hang
go.
out. So
Yeah.
I was skipping school, hanging out at the river, riding my jet ski, and here's a lady that jumps off the Fifth Street Bridge.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was the moment that changed my life. And I have no doubt in looking back, and I didn't realize it at the time. But essentially what happened was I went in, I pulled her up to safety, pulled her into the dock.
Because you were how old?
I was 17. So
Wow.
I graduated high school at 17.
Okay.
And so I pull her into the dock. Here comes News Channel 12, News Channel 6. And it's like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here.
Right.
And
In the first place.
that's it.
Yeah.
So I ended up on the front page of the newspaper,
Oh my
local high school
gosh.
heroes. you
Yeah.
know. And that's really, in the interview, they said, well, what's your plans after high school? I said, well, I plan on becoming a firefighter EMT.
Okay.
Which Charlie Webster, very synonymous name in Augusta, Richmond County, he was the sheriff for 18 years.
Yeah.
My brother and I, we actually grew up right next to him. We was
Got
on
it.
his
Okay.
very first campaign video. So he got the news article. He called me. He said, son, come on and come see me down at the office. And he partnered me up with Chief Porterfield, which was at Burke County EMA at the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
He was the chief. And so I ended up going to work as a firefighter EMT, went through school, So essentially in the newspaper article, I said, well, I plan on going to become an EMT and a firefighter. I actually spoke it out before it came into existence.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
they would hire you at 18. So I had
Okay.
my EMTI license, got my fire license certified,
Okay.
and then 9/11 hit.
Mm.
And me and 3 other guys from the department, we lost over 300 brothers that
Wow. Yeah.
day, and we all felt the need to go serve our country.
Wow.
And so I went home 2 days after 9/11. I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to the sandbox. So going to the beach, and I said, no, ma'am. I said, I'm going to serve our country.
Wow.
And the tears, as you can imagine,
Yeah.
that was,
Totally unexpected, probably from
Absolutely.
her. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
doubt. And that's, like I said, the reason why that save that day really propelled me into where I am
Gotcha.
today.
Gotcha.
Had I not gone to the fire department, never
Yeah.
gone into the military, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm 2 years into my military career. I'm what we call a buttoned-up airman.
Okay.
I'm president of the Airmen's Forum at Langley Hospital,
Okay.
which is #1 for all Air Command in the United States Air
Okay.
Force. So all the dignitaries are there.
Yeah.
I got an opportunity to tour Congressman Warner. He was the head of the Armed Forces Committee at the time.
Okay.
I was able to tour him around the base, and I was a non-commissioned officer in charge of the refill pharmacy. So I was actually spearheaded that charge,
Wow.
which was
Yeah.
kind of unusual to be a lower ranking,
Yeah,
but they just
at
saw
that
something
age.
in me,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I was a hard charger,
Right.
and that's what I do still in
Yeah,
real estate
still are.
today. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So at the 2-year mark, I filed for a Palace Chase assignment.
Okay.
All along, I'm working through a pre-med degree because my goal was to go to med.
Got it. Okay.
And so they denied me my Palace Chase assignment.
Mm.
Well, a year later, I'm sitting in the hospital pharmacy because that was what my job was. I was a pharmacy tech, essentially.
Yeah.
I got a call from admin, and they said, Airman Bolin, your line just came up. We saw this old file. If you want it, you can still have it. Well, I had all my schooling set up, for college up at
Right.
Liberty University.
Okay.
The year prior,
Yeah.
I had no plans on this. And they said, well, it's Friday. We have to know by Monday or we're moving
Oh
on.
my gosh.
And that's exactly what I said. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Right.
And I didn't ask, I've never been the type that asked my family member. I never asked my friends for guidance. I just kind of say, all right, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And this is the direction I'm going in. I'm steadfast. I'm like a hammer.
Yeah.
And I just run in that direction as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So Monday morning, I called him up. Next thing I know, I'm sitting at my grandmother's table sipping my morning Joe at 5 a.m. She's one of those old school grannies. You get
Yeah.
up, you have breakfast, you make your bed,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
And so there was a newspaper article or ad, Century 21 was running.
Okay.
And so 9 o'clock came around, I called,
Mm-hmm.
and I signed up for the seminar. And that's kind of how my life in real estate
Got it.
started.
And that
So,
was, you were in your 20s, early 20s?
at that point, I was 21 going on
Yeah.
22.
Okay.
Yep. So I
Okay.
joined the Air Force at 19.
Got it. Okay.
So I was out, going into turning 22 years old.
Okay. Got it. Got it. And I know from there you I guess worked at Century 21
I did.
and
Yeah, so
talk to me a little bit about sort of the early years in real estate, and then
yeah,
and sort of how you came about, the decision to found your own company and start VanderMorgan.
sure. So the day I met with Jeff Keller before I even had my license, I looked across the table like we're sitting here now. And I
Yeah.
remember telling him, I said, well, Mr. Keller, I said, if I get my license and give up what my plans are, in 3 years, I'll be
Yeah.
your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is, 30 years in the business. He kind of sits back and chuckles and says,
Bring it on.
yeah, right, kid,
Yeah. Right.
And, but that's who I am. I tell
Yeah.
people what I'm going to do so that I can hold myself accountable
Yeah.
to make sure I get it done.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're only as good as the word
Yeah.
that we give.
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
And plus I had a brother,
Okay.
my brother Josh, who's 4
Uh-huh.
years older than me.
Okay.
He's kind of the brain of
Mm.
our family. He's the brainchild.
Yeah.
And so he was working at the time for Alliance Capital
Okay.
up in New York.
Yeah.
So he's on the exchange
Okay.
and he's working up there and he's pushing me and motivating me. And I'm like, no, I just want to be a firefighter EMT. I just want to join the military,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
all along, my brother has pushed me to be more,
Okay.
and to dig deeper,
Mhm.
So with that being said, I got my real estate license March 26th of '05.
Okay.
And my sights were always set on, hey, how do I build my systems? How do I build my processes?
Right.
They gave me a flip chart presentation. I just came out of the
Mhm.
Air Force where I was giving PowerPoint presentations. I said, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
And I
It
started
fit.
calling for sale by owners. Call for
Mhm.
sale by owners. I worked 12, 14-hour days,
Yeah. Yeah.
21, 22 years old at the time. Like, I have nothing but time.
Yeah. Yeah.
No family,
Right. Yeah.
It's
All the
like,
time in the
friends, y'all go
world.
do what y'all want to do. Like, I'm gonna
I'll
get out
see you
here and
later.
make something,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I did, March or September 1st of 2008, I
Mhm.
launched VanderMorgan Realty.
Perfect timing.
And perfect. Yeah.
What could go
Everything's
wrong?
on fire.
That's right.
Markets, everybody's
Yeah.
running away from real estate.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
an old adage, if you go in the opposite direction of
For
others.
sure. Yeah.
But I just felt with my systems, the processes that I built,
Mhm.
or adapted from Century 21 and built upon,
Yeah.
I knew that I could propel myself.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's been some missteps and calculations along the way.
We've
but
all made mistakes.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But we learn from them.
Sure. Yeah.
I tell my boys on the baseball field, we only learn how to fight when
Mm.
we get beat up.
That's right.
And it's
You get knocked
important.
down.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, tell me a little bit. I know you, so you start VanderMorgan, and what are some of the, whenever you start out something new, it's probably helpful to have, a vision, and which I know you had, but what are some of the key themes or values that you had when you started, that you were like, okay, if I build this thing like I want it to, here's what I want to be known for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people business. This is a people
Mhm.
business. It's all about relationships.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, I didn't grow up with the who's of Augusta.
Sure.
I'm from South Augusta, graduated from Butler High School,
Mm-hmm.
voted probably the most likely not to succeed because I was a knucklehead.
Right. Riding jet skis.
That's it.
Yeah.
Skipping school,
Yeah.
and all the
Yeah.
things, being a knucklehead in the class,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I tell my wife today, like, I was trying to lead without knowing how to lead.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and once I realized when I got into the military, the paramilitary fire department, I really learned how to become a leader.
Mm. Yeah.
Point. And when that hit me and the light switch went off, it's amazing.
Yeah.
To where you see it and you feel it and you can go do it.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, VanderMorgan, really was launched on a hope and a prayer.
Mm.
I had $50,000 to get it done.
Wow.
That was on a cash out refinance I did on a rental property. And
So you had to.
I had to.
Yeah.
And at one point I got down to my very last dollar.
Mm.
And I told April, who's been with me every step of the way,
Yeah.
doing various tasks in the office, I said, this will be the last check I write this. And it was because it was the last check I had to write.
Yeah.
There was no more money left.
Right.
And
Right.
I was paying people before I ate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you go from there to sort of where you are today? I mean,
Uh,
it's because I know I think a lot of people always think the road to success is like that, and instead
Yeah,
it's a lot of peaks and valleys.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hopes and prayers.
Hmm.
A lot of good decisions made
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
I surrounded myself with some of the best people
Yeah.
this industry has
Yep.
seen.
Hmm.
And I mean, hats off to those guys.
Sure.
But then I met my wife. I
Mm.
met my wife right before I launched the company.
Okay.
And every good woman really is the one that launches a good man.
Sure.
I became a man when I met my wife.
Mm.
And when I fell in love with her, I knew I had to be something better.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
knew I had to become something,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be who she needed me to
Right.
be.
Right.
And I think I fulfilled that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Still
powerful.
try to,
Yeah. Still
for
try to.
sure.
Still try to. Well, I know that's an amazing story, an amazing background, and switching a little bit over to the you as an agent. One of the things I always like to ask big producing agents is if you could go back in time and talk to yourself when you first started, what are some of the things that you would say? What's some of the advice that you would give?
There's so much advice that can be given.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I would focus on is building a better CRM.
Okay.
CRMs were not around.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
You had a notebook.
we had a notebook
Yeah.
and Excel
Right.
spreadsheet.
Right.
And I still
Right.
run on that spreadsheet today. Like that spreadsheet is long.
Yeah.
So I don't have a drip campaign. I've never
Okay.
utilized a drip campaign.
Okay.
I pick up my phone every single day, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I just call A to Z. So
Yeah.
I go as far as I can, and where I stop, I write it down, and I
Go the
start
next day.
the very next
Yep.
day.
Yep.
So within a week's time, I'm touching anywhere from 300 to 350 people.
Wow.
To create that top of the mind
Yeah.
awareness.
Yeah.
And that's what it is at the end of the day. The success in this business is not being good, as David Knox said. I think John said it the other
Yeah.
day in
He did.
conversation.
He did.
It's about being there.
Right.
And you
Right.
have to be there. You
Showing
have
up
to stay.
consistently. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Nail on the head right there.
Hmm.
Like you have to be consistent
Yeah. Yeah.
day in, day out.
Well, let me ask you this. That's great. And I think that's great advice for people who are either just getting into the business, think about getting into the business, or maybe who've been in the business a little while but feel a little stuck.
Sure.
There are a lot of people, we talk to a lot of people about plateaus,
Absolutely.
and we get the benefit of watching, 350 people every year, and there are definitely plateaus.
Absolutely.
And trying to break through those, especially as you get higher and higher in production, can be hard. And it's not just about working harder, but about working a little smarter.
That's it.
That's great. Well, let me ask you this. So, I know you keep your finger on the pulse of the industry.
Sure.
How's the industry changed since you got in?
Industry changes daily,
Yeah.
but realistically, and that was one of the missteps in calculations. When I started VanderMorgan in 2008, I planned on taking my systems, my processes, and spreading them across state lines.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to be a Century 21 of the world,
Mm,
the Remax of the world.
Gotcha.
Because
Yeah.
doing quick math, and I actually went up to Syndic Corp. It was the house for Century 21, ERA, a lot of
Yeah.
your name brand
yeah.
companies.
Right.
So
Right.
I went up to Syndic Corp. I did the tour there before I launched VanderMorgan. I started doing
Okay.
this in '06. So
Yeah.
I was already
Okay.
doing kind of research,
Yeah.
knowing the direction that I wanted to go in.
Hmm.
I went to Weichert Real Estate
Yeah.
at the time. They were the
Oh,
fastest
yeah.
growing independent franchise in the nation.
Mhm.
Jim Weichert had 200 some odd locations. He had sold 210 franchises at the time. This was 2007.
Yep.
Of course, that was before
Right. Right.
everything went
Fell down. Yeah.
But quick math, John, I was looking at it and I said, quick math would tell you like 30 years, 35 years. I'm looking at myself at the time, 22, 23 years old. I'm like, all right, 55, good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right. Right.
But things changed.
Yeah.
Life changes you.
It does.
Life puts a lot of things in perspective for you.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's right. Well, I know you mentioned your wife, Stacy. I know y'all have got 4 kids.
Yes, sir.
How old?
10, 8, 7, and 5.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all got your hands full.
No doubt. It's so much fun.
It is.
You
It
know,
is fun.
You have children yourself.
Yeah.
What are your ages?
They are 12 and 9,
12 and 9.
2 boys. And I know before we walked in here, we were talking to Reagan Williams, who's got older children.
Right.
And that's been some of the best advice I think that I've gotten. Those people who aren't too far removed from where we are, and they just, continue to tell you, like what Reagan did. You don't look back when your oldest is about to go to college and say, I wish I'd worked a little harder.
That's it, made an extra dollar.
I wish I'd
Yeah,
made
wish
it.
I had an
I wish
extra
I'd
dollar.
stayed at the office,
Right.
a little bit longer. It's how can I show up for them? And I think that that's really important. That's something that I have had to learn, because I was thinking the other day, and I read this article and I thought it was so great. It's talking about how your 40s can just be so hard
Sure.
because, by that time you for the most part know what you're doing in your career. You know where you are, and it's the time where you've paid your dues and you can really start to try and achieve the success you've wanted for a while. But it's also the same time where your kids are that age where, like my 12 and 9-year-old, I mean, for the most part, they still want to hang out with me,
Sure.
and they're,
And we want that time.
and we want that time
Because we were boys,
That's
eventually
right.
that time's going to come where they let go of the hand. The 12-year-old sure,
That's
doesn't
right.
want to hold dad's hand walking through the mall or wherever you're going.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And those are times where it's kind of,
Yeah.
it
It's a sweet
illuminates.
spot. Yes,
It
that's
is.
exactly right. So I think that's one of the things that I've, admired about you and getting to know you is I think sometimes we lose that perspective.
Absolutely.
And I think, trying to keep that perspective in mind and wanting to have a great career, but also knowing that, there are certain things that are fragile. And I remember when I was in law school, a guy came and talked about like work-life balance, which is just, I think, such a outdated word. I mean, you just
Sure.
sort of flow it all together
That's right.
is I think the way the world works now with cell phones and everything. But he said something that stuck with me. He said that in life, you're given about 6 or 7 glass. He said you're given 6 or 7 balls. Okay. He said you get these balls and you can juggle those balls. But some of those balls are glass
Right.
and some of them are rubber. So some of them you can drop and it'll bounce back.
Right.
But those that are glass, your health, your family, your faith, you drop those, some will break.
Right.
They may not break all the way, but they're not going to bounce back with no damage.
Sure.
And I think, thinking along those lines gives you the perspective of, what's important.
Sure.
So,
Well, I think that's probably one of the most intriguing things that people know about me is how do I balance that?
sure.
How do you really unmask the size of what VanderMorgan Realty has created? Not as big as
Right.
I envisioned, of
Sure.
course.
Sure.
How do you, as a producing agent and working broker, how do you produce how much you produce? And
Yeah.
still show up for your kids.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I have to boil that down to efficiency.
Yeah.
So going back to your question about, what would you tell your younger self is really focus on those efficiencies in life.
Yeah.
Spend more time, just watching the sunsets.
Mm. Yeah.
Spending more time doing those things. Because now at 44 years old, I'm starting to appreciate
Yeah.
things that I should, but we're moving so fast at a young
That's
age.
right.
Those things aren't important,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I understand, John, we're born to start our dying process. If you think about it, from the time we come out of our mother's womb, we start the dying process. We mature to die.
Sure.
And when 40s hit me, it really got my wheels turning
Yeah.
and thinking like, what's the next phase of life and what is it going to look like? So,
Yeah.
and I'm a big preparer.
Yeah.
So,
Obviously. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, how do I get to 50? What's the best path to get to 50?
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we're sitting down today.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
For sure.
Well, with that, obviously, having you on the podcast, I know we've been talking for a while, and there are just so many similarities between Meybohm and VanderMorgan,
Sure.
both today and in the past. I think I mentioned earlier today, your path is somewhat similar to E.G. Meybohm's path. He was a high school coach and wanted a better future in life for his family and took a risk. Didn't have, a bunch of money to do it with, but he knew what he wanted to do and through a lot of hard work. And I think if you ask him, he'll give the same response you did, which is he surrounded himself with good people. And I think that when we talk about like what is a company and all of that, it's really your people.
Sure.
And I think that he did that over time and that allowed everybody to kind of, build up their strengths in the right way. So that's been cool for me to kind of see the similarities between the two. And as you look sort of forward, to the future for your company and our company, so what does that future look like?
Wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just dropped a bomb in the middle of our, in the middle of our brokerage yesterday to all the agents. And the eyes that I saw, and they're like, whoa, hold on.
What are you doing?
What are we talking about? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I did. I met with all of the agents, called a mandatory meeting, which I very seldomly do. So they knew something serious.
Something's up.
That's it.
Yeah.
Plus I was kind of building it up on social
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
Kind of to lead to this moment.
Sure.
Because I wanted to create an audience.
Sure.
I wanted people to see. This is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
to merge with a company coming from VanderMorgan and merging, my company with your company with
Yeah.
Meybohm,
Yeah.
the number one, the leader in real estate as long as I've
Sure.
been in the industry,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Meybohm has been synonymous.
Mm.
And for so long, I've fought against it. I wanted to
Yeah.
create what EG has created.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No. Yeah.
EG is, man, he's the GOAT.
He
Some
is.
people
Yeah.
often say, well, you're the GOAT. No, EG's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Because that's not an easy feat.
Yeah. That's
I've
right.
been living it for 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed every single minute of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when I look at it at 44, like where do I want to end my career? And
Mm.
how do I end my career gracefully?
Yeah. The right way.
How do I
Yeah.
protect my legacy? How do I make sure that my children aren't stuck in this industry if they don't want to be?
Yeah.
My goal
Yeah.
as a father is to chase their dreams with them,
That's
not
awesome.
to instill my dreams on them.
Yeah. Let them do their thing
That's
and be there
exactly
for
right.
them.
And,
Yeah.
and what I've done in this industry, what I've done in this business allows us to do that every day.
Yeah.
But I want to be there and be present to see their dreams.
Yeah.
I want to see those wheels turning in their heads.
That's right.
I'm able to coach Liam in baseball.
That's awesome.
My girls in softball.
Yeah.
I'm coaching my youngest right now in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
While still keeping up with,
Yeah.
the hamster wheel.
Right.
I
Right.
like to think I'm a great husband.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm the father that I'm supposed to be for the most part.
Sure.
Again,
Yeah.
mistakes, bumps
That's
in the
right.
road.
We all make mistakes. Yeah.
But John, I am extremely honored to announce our merger
Well,
together.
I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah.
And I think that, along with everything you've done on the real estate side, it has to work for your people and it has to work for our people. And I think, getting to know you and spending so much time with you and getting to know your people who, as you know, will follow you to the ends of the earth.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
And I think that probably says more about somebody's character than anything else is what do other people say about them? What would they do? What does that person do? And so I think that, I know everybody at Meybohm couldn't be more excited about this because there's so many similarities. And I think with your goals of, it's a lot to manage the day-to-day of a business. And we've got a lot of great people that do that. And we've got a lot of, systems and structure that I think will allow you and your agents to come over and really do what y'all want to do best, number one. But number two, to give you personally, I think some of the balance that we've talked about before with family and children. And so, it's interesting when we first got together, it was sort of like, we don't know where it's going to go. And
We've never even met each other.
No, that's right.
John Chambers put us together, and it's like I didn't even know what you looked like. To
that's
be honest.
right. That's right.
I may have checked you out on Facebook before I.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad there weren't too many skeletons in the closet, at least publicly.
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer in time. I think like you, I'm not always a patient person, but I have learned in my 10 plus years at Meybohm that time can be a friend in certain circumstances. And I think what I mean by that is every time that we met and talked about life and business, it was just like, this is somebody that we've got to try to find a way to work together. So I couldn't be more excited. I know you're excited. I know all of our people are excited. Two great brands coming together. And I'm fired up.
I'm excited about the supercharger.
Yeah.
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 That's what I keep telling everybody. It's like, I'm free. I'm unchained. Y'all have taken all the pressure of being a business owner.
Yeah.
And now I can actually put the supercharger on my back. And
That's right.
Get rolling with Bolin.
That's right. I love it. Got to throw that in at least one time.
Gotta get a plug.
That's right. You gotta get a plug.
Come here for free.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, for those of y'all out there, both inside of Meybohm and VanderMorgan, and in the community at large, we wanted to do this kind of in person, on the podcast to make it official. But again, we're super excited. We will keep everybody posted as we sort of move forward, but kind of joining forces and making that official today. And there'll be a lot of great, exciting things to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Well, good.
And I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. We do too.
I really do.
Yeah, we do too. And
one thing I do want to say is how gracious y'all have been.
Oh, I appreciate that.
When we first met, I said, hey, John, anything that you present to me has to take care of my people in the back office, my ladies, the ones I've surrounded myself with, and the agent.
Yeah.
And y'all have done every bit of that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I told, I think your folks today that part of being a local company and choosing just to be in this market, you've got to kind of live with what you create.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely.
if you burn bridges or you aren't good to people or you don't do what you say you're going to do, you have to live with that.
That's right.
And so I think, again, that's something that EG has built this company on, is integrity. Do what you say you're going to do. Be honest with people. And that's something that I think is good pressure on me and my team, because, you don't want to disappoint him. And I think it's a healthy pressure to show up every day and to try to make the company better. And, I can't think of anything better that would move our company forward. You and I've talked about the industry, where the industry's going, and I think scary. Yeah. But also, I think you and I are both pretty convicted that the need for the agent is there, and the need for a professional agent is there.
That's the key. Anybody can get their real estate license.
Right.
Professional is the key.
Yeah, that's right.
Is somebody that's really and truly going to care about their consumer, their client, and guide them through every stage of life. Right. And that's how you build a business.
It is. And I think, I had somebody about a month or two ago, ask, sort of, if you were to say, what's Meybohm? And for me, I think it's a lot of different things, but one of the things that really excite me is I think it's a collection of entrepreneurs. Sure. And if you can gather a bunch of people together, because all of our agents are independent contractors. Right. They have their own business. They have their own company. And I think that if you can create the right platform for it, and you get a bunch of people together that are entrepreneurial, like-minded, absolutely, that can create a vision together, I think you've got something really powerful. Absolutely. And I don't think there's a better example of that than this today.
I agree. 100%.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
We're going to get moving. Yeah. Justin, thank you for joining me.
Sure.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.